Episode 26. It is March 10th, 2021. We're going to have Mike Matalavage on a little bit later talking Jets, talking WandaVision. But to start, I want to tell some stories. I mean, it's March 10th, 2021, and we're closing in on a year of kind of the true start of what we knew was going to be a pandemic, going forward. And I think it really started with the NBA season getting suspended, and that was March 12th. So, a few days, on Friday. So, last year that was a Thursday. I could tell you exactly where I was. I was still at school, living in my fraternity house. We were in like a common area called the chapel. We had we had a projector going. We had that Thunder Jazz game, and this was a nationally televised. This was Thursday night. This was a TNT game. This was the national game of the week essentially. And before game time, delayed. All my buddies are going like, "What the hell's going on?" And then we find out and announce that the game has been canceled or postponed at the time, and everyone in the crowd, you're all safe, you're fine. The PA announcers, you guys are safe, you guys are fine. The game's not happening tonight, and then we find out that Rudy Gobert tested positive, and this is days after he touches all the microphones, and he makes a joke about COVID.
What a dick.
I mean, do you remember that? Did you ever see that video though?
Yeah.
Right, like he's like, "All right, guys, have a great night," and he just touches, so every mic could get like that crunch sound, of every mic being like just yeah, just and then he left. 2 nights later, boom, tested positive. And the NBA's actions was kind of like that first domino, and I think in my head, just kind of going, all right, shit. Like this is something that I don't think that we were ready for. Obviously, I didn't think a year later. In hindsight, I don't think we thought it was even going to last a year.
No.
I think we were thinking, all right, by the summer, it's March. By June, July, I'm sure we'll have this taken care of.
Oh hell yeah.
Like you were the professional sports leagues, they'll resume. It's fine. I mean, all the way to the NBA, NHL, they'd go bubble. One location, no fans. Major League Baseball halted spring training. Didn't restart till late summer. No fans. Only playing geographically. 60-game season. 10 apiece in your division. 10 with American League geographically. NL East played NL East. NL East also played 10 against the AL East. So, things like that. They played within division for the entire season. And for some people, it was, the longest trying year of your life. And I think if you go back in a year, what you were living, the life that you were living in, that life is, I think, just gone. In the sense, we're living in a completely new world a year later. What your thoughts about what the future was going to be for you a year ago, I can guarantee you're not thinking of that same future in the sense of how we're going to be living on an everyday basis going forward. It was a long year, but then I take it on the other side. This year that we're already in March went by like that.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
February didn't exist.
but also like summer of 2020 just did not happen.
Yeah.
Like the way I see, like June, July, August did not exist.
Yeah.
Like that.
Locked inside all day. You can't.
And even when we were able to go outside because the weather was nicer, we'd go out or whatever, but there wasn't anything to do.
Yeah.
And that's what it's made it even harder once the weather got, once winter came and it's gotten hard, it's been harder. And we're inside recording, but it's 50 degrees out. I'm ready to like day drink, and I got shorts on right now. Finally to be able to go outside. I went on a walk with my dad yesterday. I was able to just do something to feel like I've had a productive day when I wasn't working. So, I'd like to know what, other people think about this. Because a year ago today, I knew exactly where I was. It's kind of that, time has stood still for a second looking back on an event. And you reflect, you think about what this year has brought you, what it's taken away, how you've grown as a person. I'm saying, right, I'm saying, but I think at the end, I think everyone's grown in some sort of way. You've understood more about yourself, more of you as an individual, how to be more of an independent being.
Yeah.
How to kind of pivot and deal with what is ahead.
Roll with the punches.
Right, and I think one of the biggest things that this pandemic and the work from home has brought us is a lot more mental health awareness.
Absolutely.
It's like until you're in the situation, you don't know what being locked up inside every day, looking at a computer screen every day, how it kind of just eats away at you. And not having face-to-face human interaction. As much as Zoom, you could say, is the next best to face-to-face, it's not a human presence in front of you. And you're not dressing, you're not getting in a suit and tie, you're not getting in, business attire. You might have a collared shirt on with sweatpants underneath, and you might not even showered, but your hair looks fine, so you look presentable.
Yeah. I think that was a big thing at the beginning of COVID, is people took it as maybe a little vacation. So you could just bum around, do whatever the fuck you want.
So I'm working from home. I don't gotta.
Yeah.
I can stay up late and sleep. I'm not leaving. I don't gotta go catch a train at a certain time.
Yeah.
So I'm at
I don't
home.
have to get up an hour and a half early to go to work. I can just wake up 10 minutes before and turn my laptop on.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where it's all right, how long can I really wear these sweatpants and take this break life?
Yeah.
You got to start some type of routine.
Yeah. And so I'll pivot from NBA and I'll pivot to that continuing that same week. We're in March Madness, NCAA, basketball. One by one, these conference championships. I remember Ivy League. I remember the first league. Ivy League canceled everything. We were going, all right. And the bigger conferences, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, the ACC, all of them, canceled their conference tournaments. And we're like, all right, at least we could seed. And of course, hindsight again, we thought that canceling conference championships for college basketball was the end of the world. And we'll at least have March Madness tournament. We can see we can work around that obstacle. You look at it now, not even fucking obstacle. Just do it. And then a week later, and it's all right, no selections. March Madness is canceled. No tournament. I think that's where it hit people. People were going, no way they canceled the tournament. There's too much money value in the tournament. They won't cancel it. They'd lose too much money. There's no way they cancel it. And they did. And you look back, whatever team you rooted for, you get the great seniors. For me, Michigan State, Cassius Winston. You saw his last game when you didn't know it was going to be Obi Toppin, the new New York Knick, what he did for Dayton. You didn't get to see him in the tournament. All these different guys that had great years last year. So we got Selection Sunday this Sunday, and you think, holy crap, we have been now 2 years without a tournament.
That's wild.
Talking 2 calendar. Yeah, we missed one, but it was 2 calendars without a tournament. And we're moving in the right track. Probably keep no fans. But here we are a year now, and there are millions and millions of people vaccinated. And I think that there can be optimism and positivity moving forward that we're going to get some sense of normalcy by the summer. Like, you know, we're going to be in a safer environment. Millions and millions of people are getting vaccinated now. Cuomo just opened it up. 60+ teachers can go to pharmacies, whatever. It's being accessible to that first wave of who's in line for it.
CDC already gave guidelines too for like vaccinated people meeting inside. You
Right.
have like 25 people or something like that.
And you said you're set up for next week?
Yeah.
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
Oh, so I had to count on my fingers. 3 days. Christian will get his first dose
Thank God.
of the vaccine.
I'm going straight to the movie theater as soon as I get the second one.
Because he's going to the Javits. He'll be in the city. Boom.
Yeah.
Hit a theater. Watch some film. It could be shit.
Yeah.
But just sit in one of those theaters and enjoy a beverage and a bag of Sour Patch watermelons. That's
if I
what
can even eat, honestly. If they even allow you. I don't know if they'll
you don't
do
think that
concessions.
they'll allow... That's true, because you're going to have to...
Yeah. And they wouldn't know that I'm vaccinated.
That's true.
I'll scream at Tom and Jerry.
Bring your card.
I've thought about it. I'm definitely
I'm
going
sure
to.
like that again, that's gonna be the thing. They have like this thought about an app to, hey, like, I'm vaccinated, blah blah, or if you're gonna be carrying that card on you for a certain amount of time. But I think this year, like, you're gonna need to have like the idea of, hey, I've been vaccinated.
Oh hell yeah.
So, you know,
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like it would be difficult to give, as a business, I think it would be difficult to give other people a pass for not having a mask than having a mask. Even if you know that person is vaccinated.
No. I'm thinking even if, I think masks, I mean, they're going to be a thing for the rest of the year. I don't think it matters. I think certain areas, it's going to be, I mean, a state like Texas, like, and places are just opening completely up, and it'll be up to you privately whether or not you're going to allow a mask or not. But I think overall, most places are going to be like, all right, hey, like, vaccine or not, like, still wear a mask for the people that are unvaccinated. I know, and not that like I'm worried about it, but like I'm not gonna have unless for retail workers currently in the job I'm working. I mean, I'm working with the public every day, so I'm wondering like maybe that does open up to me in the next month.
I would assume so.
You know, so.
But I hope so.
But again, like, I'm not. But for me, like, I'm not worried about. Like, I'm not a priority.
Yeah.
23 healthy male.
But I also feel like retail workers should be a priority.
I think so too. Like, and I'm not worried about like myself. I'm worried about others. Like, I've gone into work since like I got hired in November. And in February, like this month, I work 4 or 5 days a week, mask or whatever. I'm still like we try and keep the 6 feet.
Yeah.
But I'm still around people, and it's like, all right, well, I'm in a mall in a big city in Lower Westchester.
Yeah.
People coming from everywhere around the county that are on the lower, that are like, you know, southern Westchester. At what point are you going to tell me that like I don't not deserve, but like shouldn't have a vaccine?
Yeah.
For the amount of people that like I'm coming into contact, like I'm in contact with more people than anyone in my family right now.
Yeah.
And my mom's fully vaccinated. Obviously, she's PT, whatever, like, you know, works with kids. My dad's set up for this coming week or next week.
But even if you look at like, so I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Because I mean, restaurant workers were they were given the go ahead after they even like the city of New York had.
And that's working with food. So I 100% think that's
the same thing where different people are coming into the restaurant. Regardless, I would see a whole bunch of different people every single time I'm there. But it's different for us. If you have a corporate job and you're still going into the office every day, you're seeing the same people that basically, give or take, maybe,
or whoever you see, like, or you know, it's maybe 5 people. My dad goes into his office once a week, and he sees one person.
Yeah.
You know.
See, if you're like, or if you were in a building where you have to run everything, and there are just a whole bunch of people going into your warehouse or whatnot, or regardless, it's the same people that you're seeing. Whereas we are in public spaces, you don't know who you're going to see.
Right.
So I think that would be, for you, retail would be the next step for society to return to what it could be.
Right, like how, like, and like I said, I'll bring it back to just like my comfortability. At what point, and I'm not, because like I feel like I I'm good with it. I think I'm healthy, and not that I think that like COVID can't get to me. I'm smart about it, and I think that I'll be okay. At what point at what point does it get to like, oh, like the state doesn't give a shit if I get COVID?
Yeah.
Because like it's not making a priority for me. And the difference is like with restaurants, it's food like people shopping is not a fucking necessity.
Yeah.
But people are still going in the mall like it's like whatever.
Shout out to commercialism.
Right. Exactly.
What I will say is, I think shopping and restaurants are good for, not even talking about personal health of those workers, for society as a whole, for those two genres of work, however you want to call it, for them to get back to some type of normalcy where they don't have to deal with this COVID. Right. That way society can go back to these places and be like, okay, we're safe.
And it goes back to, there's money.
Oh, absolutely.
Keep them all open. We're making money somehow.
Hell yeah.
I guess the last point I wanted to make was, here we are, 2021 tournament. Selection Sunday is coming up. Just want to make a few key points, and it's crazy to think that we are going to have a tournament. Because I feel like it seemed like even in the beginning of this college basketball season, we didn't know what he was going to hold. Like, were we going to get a full schedule? Some teams got nipped, like the teams I follow, Michigan State, Michigan. Some teams, couldn't, didn't play maybe 3 or 4 games of their schedule because of having to be 2 week layoffs from COVID. But it's good. Similar to the last few years, I think, for NCAA. There's maybe 1 or 2 teams that you could see are kind of the headliners in the sport. I think Baylor, Gonzaga. I would throw Michigan in there as having only 3 losses on the year. Gonzaga's going to the tournament 26-0. They just won the WCC. They just won their conference championship last night, holding off BYU. They're obviously a team to beat. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see another wild tournament. Obviously, we're going to see our upsets and whatnot, but outside of Gonzaga being and just dominating, because of that conference, we always say, oh, it doesn't matter. Gonzaga will get knocked out, round of 32. Maybe they make the Sweet 16. They're not facing the competition. I'm a Big Ten guy, and the Big Ten's the best conference right now in college basketball. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see 2 of them in the Final Four as a bold prediction. I like Illinois. I like Michigan. I think Iowa can put up some fight with Luka Garza. Tomorrow, Big Ten tourney, Sparty faces Maryland. If they beat Maryland, they'll face Michigan. If they beat Michigan, they'll get to the semis and so on. Sparty beat Michigan their last regular season game. They got 3 wins against top 5 ranked opponents. No other team has more than 1. That cemented their trip. I'm very excited just because this team has been so up and down. Didn't know how to judge them. A lot of B plus players, not an A to really take over. Sparty was high, they were ranked 4th in the country at some, early on in the season. And for them to lose, 5 in a row and be unranked for most of the year. If they end up winning 4 in a row to win the Big Ten, let's just say that's on a pipe dream, and they're 19-11 to end the year. Like, maybe there's a chance they end up being ranked. Because that's another win it'd have to be another win against Michigan. It would be another win against probably a top 10 ranked team out of the Big Ten. So that'd be very cool. I tell you, it's January, it's February, it's Izzo. March is Izzo. It is Tom Izzo. It is Michigan State. I think regardless who they play, if they get a 10 seed in the tournament, I think they could be a 10 that knocks off a 7. And so next Wednesday, It'll be just before the first round starts, so we'll talk brackets, we'll talk regions of seeds and where I think, and I'll give you kind of my full bracket breakdown next week. We'll see what big gunners could be facing each other early that might tip the balance of thinking what your Final Four could look like. But yeah, March is fun again. We're back at another March, and we got college basketball to take us through the next 3-4 weeks of our lives. We can watch upsets. We can watch we can watch classic basketball games. Brings it back to having to have your phone at work on the app, on the Watch the March Madness app. I remember when we were in high school, we'd be in PE, and they're projecting one of the games on like the wall.
Actually?
Yeah, dude. Coach Tom was like, this is like one of the first 4. It's like because it starts on a Thursday, midday, like 12 o'clock. Coach Tom's like, I got the first tournament game on. I'm waltzing in like on a free period. I'm like, I'm sitting here. I'm not fucking moving anywhere. I'll wait till the bell rings to go home. Little things like that we've missed over the last year.